Last time on BARMY,
Hello, Nick.
Hello.
How are you? Nice to meet you, I'm Joe.
I met the UK's very own Tank King.
So when did it all start?
It would have been best part of 30 years ago, I suppose.
And he's got his fingers in lots of pies.
You're training soldiers, you're supplying arms, you're
Yeah.
essentially the new BAE systems.
Every tank tells a story.
This is an interesting one. That one's done 28 miles. That's the smell of a tank.
And Nick has plenty of his own too.
You found some gold bars, right?
I can't talk about that much because of the film. I personally think we are a mixture of apes and aliens.
But I came here to see one thing and one thing only.
So this is the
That's my
tank
hearse.
hearse, right? So there's actually a coffin in there at the minute.
Yeah.
Can I go in the back?
My name is Joe Cowan, and I'm on a mission to meet the military obsessives who take things to the next level. So there I was, lying in the back of a tank hearse, next to what I hoped was an empty coffin.
Oh, we're actually going out on the road.
Just a quick spin out of the bubble of Nick's tank land and coming eye to eye with the trucker was all it took to confirm how weird this actually is. Yeah, just up here on the right please mate. Yeah, anywhere here's good. Nice one, cheers.
Cheers, Nick.
So what do you reckon?
I reckon it's a bit uncomfortable, but if you're dead, it doesn't really matter, does it?
No, not really.
Well, I don't know if I'm sold on it, but I'm a massive advocate for people should live however they want, so people should die however they want as well.
Yeah. The sort of funeral this normally everyone is smiling.
Like
Yeah.
a celebration of life
That's it,
rather than
you got
like,
it.
let's all be sad.
And that's the sort of one that this normally goes to.
I'm going to jump out of here.
I did my mother's funeral, and I don't know whether she'd approved or not, really.
Oh, you did your mum's
Yeah.
funeral in this?
Yeah, my sister, she said you should do mum's funeral. I said, no, I don't think she'd have liked that. And she said, no, she would have done. She'd have been ever so chuffed. And in the end, I thought, well, crikey, you only bury your mum once.
Yeah.
And we did it. And I still don't know if it was a great idea or not, but a lot of people said it was. And I also did Nigel's father's funeral. He wanted it. And it was quite funny because it was a long way. It was about 20 miles. And there was this procession of cars behind me. And there was this bloke on a bike. There's always a guy on a bike in there. And it was sort of windy roads. And I thought, well, just pull over, you bastard. All you got to do is pull over and we'll all go by. But no, he pedalled along in front, pedalled along in front. I kept chasing him. And when we finally get to the town and he does pull over, he was waving his fist at me. And the tricky bit is, overtaking in something like this, you know.
Yeah, it's less than ideal.
It is, yeah. I'm very, very courteous to other road users because if I do make a mistake and somebody hits this, they've got a big problem. It's going to be very hard, and very heavy.
So this must have quite a special place in your heart then?
It has, yeah.
You know, if
Yeah.
if you buried your mum in it and you've
This
done some
one
other close
and Tank Limo,
funerals, yeah.
we've had a lot of special times with these particular tanks, what with Graham as well. Yeah, and it was in a hedge. I literally pulled it out with the digger and there was all brambles all over it. And it come up that well. I did struggle to get that turret. That Peak Engineer turret's hard to get, and I mooched about, and an old friend of mine had one, and he didn't want the earth for it. And when I went up to pick it up, he'd already sandblasted it and primed it for me.
Good man.
So literally, all I had to do was come down, lower it on, and we were masking it up and painting it within a matter of hours.
And is that quite a rarity in this business?
Yeah, it is. I mean, you don't get that sort of service, but I just got lucky.
Until now, I'd thought of the tank as a bit of a joke. But hearing about the funerals it had done, it was clear that the tank hearse wasn't just a gimmick. And it's always great to see a businessman who uses his own products.
Just see it in action, I guess. But so, speaking about faith again, so if you think that we're a hybrid of apes and
We
aliens,
must be. How did we evolve I mean, you've got all these different types of monkeys and apes, and they're all a bit like us, all scratching their asses and doing what they do. All right, and then suddenly you got this other lot.
What, as in us?
Yeah.
Homo sapiens?
Yeah.
And you think that there's kind of an anomaly
There's
somewhere along the way?
some sort of hybrid, yeah. They've never found that missing link, have they, between apes and man?
But there are quite, there's steps along the way.
But they've never found them, have they?
But
There's
what
something-
about like Homo erectus and Homo, I don't know all of them, but there are these steps along the way.
Yeah, there is, yeah.
Which would kind of point towards a natural...
Neanderthal, and then there's another one, yeah.
That's the
But nah, there's something, I mean, I know when you look at Nigel, you can, obviously, you can see that there is a much closer resemblance.
What are these over here? You got some birds?
We've got a lot of macaws about the place. It saves me swearing at people if the birds
tanks
do.
and macaws then, that's your thing?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Tanks and macaws, yeah.
Would you say you're a little bit balmy?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah?
Obsessive, maybe, yeah.
Obsessive. Who are these guys here, Nick?
Well, they did have names. I forgot the names. They're just a pair of blue and gold macaws. They're quite aggressive.
If I was to step in there now, they'd
Definitely.
have me.
Yeah, if you put your
peck
hand
me
through there,
apart.
probably. If you just did that, the male would start thinking, hang on a minute. Yeah, they're quite nasty.
That's a shame.
You all right, big boy?
Is there any chance for a cup of tea or anything?
Yeah, let's go
Is that
for
right?
it.
Yeah.
Vanessa does that kind of stuff.
Oh, lovely.
She's quite clever at it.
And these are your workshops here then?
Yeah, loosely resembling. We were talking about the origin of man, and how I was saying now I think there's probably some sort of alien intervention because we don't look that much like monkeys, although we do act like them. And then you come around the corner and you blew my theory.
I was hoping Nick's tea would be a bit nicer than some of the things he said about his staff. Now, if you want to take your funeral to that next level, Nick also has a tank limo. Think about it, you could actually convoy to the crematorium.
Now this is normally carpeted, but we keep the carpet in the dry, and this got hired out recently. It went to Excel in London, and we had it was I didn't know it was a gambling company, and they wanted to do sort of interviews in the back, and I don't like gambling, so I probably wouldn't let them at it.
What is it about gambling that you don't like?
I've just seen too many people destroy their lives with gambling. I don't like drink, I don't like drugs, I don't like gambling.
You don't touch a drop?
No. I don't need that to have a laugh, I really don't. And I watched all my friends when we used to go out clubbing and that, and it would impede them terribly, and they wouldn't be able to drive, and I'd have some beautiful old Jag I'd bought for 200 quid, all jollied up, and I would leave with a beautiful woman, and there'd be a mess.
There'd be 200 quid down the drain, pissed up,
Probably, yeah.
hangover in the morning.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
fair
and
play.
I wouldn't.
So this has been since you were, a teenager? then?
12.
Really?
Yeah, I got drunk at 12 and I thought, right, I'm not doing that again.
And that was that's your lot.
Yeah.
So is this kind of like the most popular tank then?
This has done a lot of bookings,
Yeah.
and this Arab Prince, he has it every year. He comes down here, he hires the whole venue for 30 of his friends from 9 in the morning till 5 o'clock at night, and he rolls up at 4:45 every year.
Genuinely?
And we're all waiting. There's all the caterers, and then he leaves. He's very happy.
He's a good friend.
I wouldn't say he's a good friend, but he's a nice guy, and we always have a laugh, and I'm always pleased to see him.
So, your missus then, Nick, what do you reckon? Is she fall in love with the man or the tanks? Or a bit of both?
I think she fell in love with the man, but I think she does love a good tank day, and
Yeah.
she likes getting involved.
Okay,
And
fair
she
play.
certainly likes driving them. They are nice to drive. It's
Nick had told me to bring something along that we could test out the tank hearse with, so it was time to introduce him to our gnome.
it's pretty rare.
So it's a pretty good size. I don't know my gnomes very well, but I'm told that this was a good gnome. They did have nice feet with really nice red shoes on, but then Butterfingers.
I'm really sorry, buddy. No, sweet no.
I would slip into something a bit more appropriate. I think I'll tuck my shirt in for once.
If I wasn't married, I'd take him out to dinner. Things for
The gnome might have seemed a bit daft, but it was a strange request, and I didn't feel comfortable burying something more human. Now all we needed were some mourners.
You alright, Todd? You coming to the funeral?
Funeral?
Yeah.
Going to a funeral?
Yeah, the gnome's getting buried.
Okay.
So how does this work? So I'll carry Big G through.
I think the coffin should be out with that showing. Right, we do that one there. There's no one in it, is there? Apparently it brought a body back from another country. They said it might be a bit stinky inside.
That's quite a good fit.
Ashes to ashes, rust to rust. Fuck off.
They're going to have to do so much editing in this.
There. No, I've got a bad feeling there'll be no editing and it will be our downfall, Todd. Right, are you ready?
Yeah.
Come on then. It's a heavy gnome.
We put the gnome. Gnome's going gnome.
Nose first.
Gnome. There you are.
There we go.
It's got cold.
No flowers. There.
Got to be a bit further than that.
That's a bit, hasn't it?
And so during an actual funeral, would it be you guys kind of...
No, God, no.
No, that's not what you guys do.
No, the
I'll
family
get my dad,
normally.
so I'll get my dad in.
No, but they don't. The undertakers, they arrange everything. All we do is roll up with a vehicle and two smart people, and the last bit we do.
I'll say with my dad then, no.
But what about you, Nigel? Did your dad request a tank funeral?
No, we just thought it'd be funny. He'd have been laughing his socks off all the way.
He would have enjoyed it, yeah?
Yeah, he would have enjoyed it immensely.
So is it a way of like lightening the day?
It
Lightening
was
a
a bit
bad
of a
day?
petrol head, and it was a bit of a, see my dad off in good spirits.
Yeah.
You know.
And was, for you,
worked
was
very
it,
well, you know.
you were happy with how everything went?
Very, very happy, yeah.
Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah, I think he was happy as well. He didn't say a lot.
We did do a funeral for and I was quite nervous about it because, and then literally they all stood there, all the blue trousers and all like that, big long lines of them, loads and loads of people there, and when I actually did the funeral, I had to drive it around all these little kind of bays, and it was very, very tight, and I managed to get around without clipping any curbs, and a trackpad had come out, and this bloke came over to me and said, "Do you mind if I have this?" And they've put it in the grave.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
put
that's a nice
trackpad
little
in.
memento.
Yeah. So for the right people, it definitely rings the bell. But it's not for everyone. It's not for everyone. But if you were a tanky, probably would like it. Yeah. But not if you were infantry or something like that. There'd be a bit of, just because you were in the army, this
But
wouldn't
my
be
brother's
enough.
like a cavalry officer, and he said him nor anyone he knows would be interested in it.
No,
Why?
maybe not.
I don't know. He just said it wouldn't be his cup of tea at all.
You know, a cavalry officer about 5 miles away from here.
He's pre-booked, has he?
No, he hasn't pre-booked. He hates our guts. You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So what should we do with this gnome then? Is there any way we can bury it?
I don't know about that. That could be a bit bad taste, really.
Something I'd said had upset Nick. There had been no problem with lying in the back of the hearse or staging a funeral, but I'd crossed the line somewhere, and it looked like the gnome would be coming home with me.
We are purely renting in a vehicle. We are not undertakers.
Okay, well that's fair enough.
I took the gnome back to the car, and Nick told me to meet him inside. He had one last thing to show me.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh wow, wow.
That's the reaction I like to hear.
I wasn't expecting this at all. How long's this taking you to sort of build up?
Oh, it took years, but it wouldn't have had to have took years. It would take years now, but when I was quite young, this stuff was everywhere. It's very easy to get. You can still buy it now at arms fairs, but it's deactivated to a different specification. It's all kind of welded solid now, which is a bit silly really, because if it's welded solid, you can't look inside it and check it's been deactivated properly.
But
Yeah.
just constantly being surrounded by weapons and, you know, tanks and stuff. What's that like?
Well, how can I say? I don't think of them as tanks. I more think of them as off-road vehicles, interesting vehicles to drive. I don't really get involved in the fighting compartments and the breaches. I'm not really interested.
No.
I'm too busy trying to keep everything running, and that's the hard part. But yeah, people are very excited to come up here, and they roll up here and they see a few tanks. You can see it thinking, bloody hell, you know, there's a museum, this will be interesting. Then they think, oh shit, I get to drive one. And then at the end, I get to run a car over at high speed in a main battle tank. They're well happy. Yeah, they're well happy. I do kids' birthday parties.
And they love it, do they?
They do. I tell you what, and I test out things on kids, and because they won't hide their emotions, and if they love something and they're screaming like crazy, in excitement, I know that that will work on a bigger scale on an adult.
And so where's the line for you? Where do you draw it? If that's kind of like encouraging children to play with weapons.
Well,
and I'm just interested where you draw the line, because
that reminds me
we obviously overstepped
of an
it with
interview that this woman was given to an ex-American officer, and she goes, "Do you feel bad that you are giving children knowledge and the equipment to kill each other?" And this officer looked across at the woman. He says, "You're equipped to be a prostitute, are you?" True. See what I mean? I think
get
that
it, but
shooting is good fun, and providing it's done in the right manner and people are trained properly, especially children, they can have a lot of fun and it can be very safe.
But just going back to the desensitized kind of thing that I was mentioning before, like so the comment that you just made about a prostitute there,
yeah.
That's quite a sensitive thing to say.
Yes.
So my point is, it's okay to say things like that, but then we feel like we might have overstepped the mark trying to bury a gnome there. And
Yeah,
I'm just trying to figure out where the
I think our hearse has done, as other promotions as well, but it's done a lot of funerals, and we do treat it with a little bit of reverence. You know, I've seen a lot of dead bodies going in and out the back of that, and a lot of crying people standing around it. And yeah, you know, yeah, strange, isn't it? Yeah, it's strange.
How much are the tanks a part of Nick Mead? Like, it must be a huge part of your core being. And
I suppose really 30 years of doing it, yeah, it would be. Yeah, it's not something I could give up easily.
You're very emotionally attached to it all.
Yeah, a lot of them.
I wanted to apologise as well. I didn't want to overstep the mark with the hearse before. I know
you know what? I don't know where that mark is.
That's what we're trying to figure out.
It's hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's hard. Because it's employed for so many things. And some of the people, literally, when I turn up in that hearse and I come round and they're waiting at the church, they're all going, "Rrr!" You know, they're all jumping around. And then I turn up at another one and it's quite sombre.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people crying.
Even if there's someone at the funeral that might have requested it, there's going to be a lot of people there who find it quite chilling and quite disturbing. So you think it could be quite, traumatic for some people to turn up to a funeral in it?
I haven't seen that yet.
You haven't?
No. I've always, and a lot of people come over and thank me at the end. And often the widow and that, she'll come over and thank you very much, you would have loved it. You know, and she won't be looking sad, she'll be smiling. You would have absolutely loved it. Thank you very much, you nailed it. And that's quite emotional then sometimes.
Yeah, I can
very
imagine.
difficult. Very difficult.
Imagine. So I came here trying to figure out the man behind the myth kind of thing, and I don't think I quite have. So how would you describe yourself in, let's say,
I would
three
say
words?
I am an opportunist who loves to tinker around with big vehicles. I love the randomness and I love the change.
You like the
and
randomness.
I do like how can I say, I go places and people say, "Oh, I recognise you," and I think, bloody hell, I saw you on the telly last week. You were doing, and that's kind of nice, but it can go too far. So that fame bit, you want to be on the outside, and I envy people like Phone Jacker, who has something over his head, and he's ever so famous, takes his hat off and no one knows who he is.
Let's pop this up here. Do you want a bit of anonymity?
Yeah, that's right. You know what, I drove down Regent Street once in an Abbott with sleet roaring down, hitting me in the face, and it was worse than freezing, and I had a balaclava in my pocket, and I didn't put it on. Because you can't drive down around London in a tank with a balaclava
on. Not in this day and
And
age.
I did a job for Nintendo.
I tried one last time to get to the bottom of Nick, but again he answered with just another story. He's a man that's a little out of step with the modern world, but has found a way to capitalise on social media culture. Like some of his tanks, he's stuck in the past, bulldozing his way through political correctness.
They've all got to be wearing camouflage bikinis and they've all got to be well sexy.
And I'm still not sold on the idea of a tank at a funeral, but hey, that's just me. Next time on Barmy, there's sex dungeons,
Yeah, leather gear.
a children's book,
George is here.
Oh, Joe, you're scaring me now.
and a man who lives in the 1940s.